What's going on, guys? Hope everyone is having a beautiful day. So I'm going to talk to you today not about drones. For those who are new to my channel, it's A Tort Aerials. It's mainly a drone channel. I'm a photographer a long time. I caregiver for my mom with dementia. I was a caregiver for my father with dementia and cancer. And now I am here today and I am undergoing ketamine treatment for pretty bad depression and really horrible anxiety. So last week was my first week with the ketamine treatment, and there isn't a ton out there because it's still essentially an experimental therapy, or treatment I should say, for depression and anxiety and PTSD. And it's not normally covered, but I'll get to that in a little bit. That's not really the most important part of it. Last week was my first two treatments. So I had a treatment on Tuesday and a treatment on Thursday. And this is essentially information I want out there from just some random person who is deciding to do something that's a bit more, maybe progressive is a word, maybe a little bit more open-minded or extreme, but not necessarily extreme, but it probably is an extreme treatment for most people. I mean, I would like to consider myself safe, but I do have an extreme side to me. I have tattoos, I do things that maybe are considered not the norm, but I am open essentially, and that's what it comes down to. And my treatment on Tuesday, I was pretty nervous about because I had no idea what I was going to really step into as far as the experience. I mean, I had an idea about the setting. It's essentially where I'm at is a clinical kind of setting. It isn't ideal, and it was one of the things as a visual person that I noticed. It was more sterile looking, a little bit colder. I'm very perceptive, especially when I'm embarking on a new journey that is something very meaningful to me to heal. Obviously, I'd want to be somewhere I feel at home and I feel warm and I feel loved and I feel just that really beautiful energy essentially. And it felt a little sterile. There was only one clinician, one anesthesiologist there, and it is pretty safe. You know, there's not a lot to it. They essentially hook up an IV, monitor your vitals, and give you an IV drip of ketamine and maybe some solution to help you from the nausea, because it is a clinical anesthetic, so it can be kind of intense. And there's really not a ton that can go wrong, I don't think, but realistically, I still didn't feel completely at peace with only one person there other than myself. I did have my neighbor, who's a really sweet older lady, and she was fortunately in the place with me because you cannot drive home. Don't even think that's a possibility. I could barely walk, let alone drive, so that's not even an option. Don't think you can just sit there and wait or power through it, because it's not going to happen. It's really intense. So the effect you feel afterwards is very out of it. Again, you almost feel like you're going to fall. So I walked like I was 99 years old. I was walking very slow and very mindfully to not basically hurt myself. So driving's out of the question. Make sure you find someone who you can trust and someone who's good energy, because essentially this ketamine is resetting a lot of things. And your brain will become kind of like a sponge, as far as what I've been explained, and you want to make sure you're surrounding yourself with only good people, only people that are in your corner, only people that are supportive of what you're doing, because it is not the norm. And one of the things I'm going to let you guys understand, when I went through the first treatment, so I'm going to go in to the clinic, I'm sitting down in the chair, I'm of course observant of everything. I notice it's not super warm. I'm a little bit uneased at the fact that there's only one person there, that the doctor that I was speaking with was not there and not present. So that's all stuff that's kind of sitting in my subconscious, making me a teeny bit uneasy. And I'm just trusting the flow and figuring everything will be all right. I'm there, I paid for it already, and time to kind of journey on. But they hook up an IV, so you're sitting down in a chair, it's a comfortable chair. They provide you headphones. You should be definitely prepared to have a beautiful playlist of music you want to listen to. So whether that's some kind of spa relaxation radio, which is what I was listening to the first day on Pandora, and that played some really beautiful, blissful type music, just super pretty. And it pretty much sets you in the right space and the right frame of mind to go through that ketamine realm. But at the same time, again, let me kind of digress. So they're going to hook up the IV. They're going to put the little solution in the IV for making you not nauseous. They can give you some kind of Ativan or something, but I didn't opt for that. And they put in the ketamine and it will start dripping into your system. And essentially, I started to feel pretty much instantly a little light, kind of headed, a little light feeling, kind of maybe numb a teeny bit. And you put on the headphones and you kind of sit back and get comfortable, probably bring a sweatshirt or something, maybe bring socks, whatever you want to do to bring comfort into your little space and journey. And then you let the ketamine run its course. And that's really, I think, the goal, is letting the ketamine run its course, being open, which is going to be an hour. The treatment's 45 minutes to an hour, so it basically takes an hour for the ketamine to run its course through the IV. And just be open to whatever kind of unfolds. Keep a very positive attitude. Try to. It's not always going to be easy, as I'm going to explain a little bit later about my day 2, but stay positive, surrender to what's unfolding. And what my therapist told me after my second treatment, which was really pretty dark and not fun, he said, try to look at the experience with some curiosity, almost like you're an observer, just looking at maybe the darkness enveloping you or whatever it may be that's kind of scary, and just kind of look at it with the kid's set of eyes, like, oh wow, that's cool, or ooh, that's kind of crazy, or whatever it may be. But again, for me, I've actually used psychedelics in the past, not in a good way, probably more with a negative side or a darker side, because I abused drugs at one point, and maybe when I'm in this space, I kind of feel in my subconscious like, why and what am I doing here, and how is this going to heal me? Like, what did I do in my life to basically F up to the point where I'm tripping now to heal? It just doesn't make sense in a way, and it doesn't equate, and I feel like I'm being irresponsible, or being, in a way that is just kind of continuing a bad set of moves in my life, like I'm continuing a bad pattern, and I'm not trying to break the cycle. But in reality, I am trying to break the cycle with this treatment. I'm not here to hallucinate. I'm not trying to do anything other than heal, and other than going into this with a real pure intention and an openness to get past my anxiety and to get past some of my depression. I mean, I talked to my ex-girlfriend the other day, who kind of reached out to me by chance or by coincidence or whatever, kind of feeling like something was maybe going on. So I do feel we have connections with people, and people know when you're maybe having a hard time in this world. And she reached out to me, and she kind of reminded me that even, 20 years ago when we were dating, this is an old-time relationship, that I was suicidal at times, and I had really depressed moments, and it was kind of a mirror in front of my face saying, yes, this is something I've been dealing with, a dark side of myself, whether it's from my adoption or whether it's from doing things that maybe weren't so good, or just having, traumas in my life, or really bad things that I've seen, and deaths and all kinds of heaviness. I don't know what causes it, but I know we all do suffer, and this life is not easy, and it is hard, and it is unfair, and it doesn't mean it's not beautiful. So I'm here today to explain a little bit about where I'm at, and I just want to give people a little idea of what's involved. So essentially, the treatment lasted for the hour. I felt pretty darn out of it. The first day after, essentially you just have to set it aside to do nothing. You have to know that you're going to be out of it. You have to surround yourself in a peaceful setting, because you're not going to be physically or mentally able to do much. And I would say be in nature, be in some kind of positive zone, eat something healthy, and just kind of let it go and process and let everything just kind of run its course. First day after, or the first day of the treatment, I had a really bad headache. I felt completely out of it. I wasn't really good for anything. I was a little nervous because I didn't feel great, but at the same time, the next day after is essentially, the days after the treatment is what you should be paying attention to, because the day of the treatment is not really the gauging factor, it's the day after. And that's kind of what you're paying attention to gauge if the dosage is the right dosage, to feel the effects, if you feel some positiveness or some shift or something happening. So Tuesday was my treatment, my first treatment. That day, completely out of it. Wednesday came along quickly and felt better, still had a little lingering headache, but didn't really notice anything. And then Thursday came and it was my second treatment, and it just was really intense. First off, when I went there, they couldn't find the earphones or the earpods or whatever for my iPhone. I forgot my AirPod Pros at home, and they have an Apple store in the town, oddly enough, where I was doing this in Illinois, in Naperville. And you need music. Music is a key component to this experience, because if you don't have something beautiful guiding you through it, it's going to be really probably not so pleasant. So I'm like, I don't want to make a big deal of it. I'm just going to go with the flow. I'm going to run to the Apple store really quickly. They're doing construction. So I basically ran into a hectic zone, under construction, into a hectic Apple store. I'm sure people who've been in an Apple store know it's not the most chill Zen vibe. And I got the headphones, and apparently she found them. So on the way back, she found them and just kind of started abruptly. So again, that probably threw me into a not so great part or start of my second day of treatment. And I went into a space that was very heavy. It was very intense. I felt like someone was standing on my chest. It's essentially, a very heavy, dark trip, almost like you're alone in the universe. Everything kind of comes in front of you. I know I uttered the words, "I'm scared," and I actually asked for my neighbor, Teresa, who's a really beautiful soul, to come into the room. I asked the nurse to get her. So she brought her in, and she just basically held space for me and was really angelic and really loving, and just sat there and, again, held a really loving space, knowing I was having a really hard time. So the first treatment was relatively blissful with a little darkness. You essentially are tripping. You have colors and you have like waves of this ketamine kind of vibe going over you. It's like being in the ocean or something. That's how it felt the second day of treatment. It almost felt like me in Hawaii, in over my head, in really big surf, about to drown. I felt like I was gonna die. Maybe I did detach from my egoic self and I was kind of dying. I don't know what it was, but it felt very alien-like. It just felt very dark. It felt like, what did I do in this life to basically be where I'm at now? Like, did I just F up so badly, or what did I do? Did I cause some kind of harm to someone? I don't know what it was, but it just stunk, and I got through it. And actually, after all that heaviness, I went into nature, basically the same place here with my neighbor, and we had a really beautiful day, and I just surrounded myself by beauty and butterflies and all kinds of stuff, and just kind of recovered. And I felt pretty good. Actually, I felt good, but the day after, Thursday, Friday, I kind of felt more raw, almost exposed. So you feel vulnerable. I think what it's doing is really kind of resetting everything. I felt very, again, raw. So I felt like you just don't feel great in a way, and my anxiety was still kind of rearing its ugly head, and had a hard time sleeping, had nightmares, and it's just very challenging. So I talked to one of my friends who is a vet and a firefighter, an ex-firefighter now, because he had such extreme PTSD. And he actually, not a friend, it's a friend of my friend who suggested I speak with them, because he's going through this treatment right now too, or actually finished, and he's still undergoing current ketamine treatments. I think he's over 30 treatments in. So he's actually doing more than that first initial 6. So when you do the ketamine treatment, they suggest 6 treatments. It's usually 2 a week, I believe, or maybe 3 a week every other day. I'm doing 2 a week for a 3-week period, but he actually is doing probably past 30, so he's doing maintenance ketamine treatments every 8 weeks, I believe. But he said it was life-changing for him. So again, there's a lot of people healing from ketamine. It's not something that I'm going into this in an irresponsible way. I've done a ton of research on it, at least as much as I can, and I'm really trying to be educated about this choice and really staying positive and hoping that it does help. Break some obsessive thoughts, break some of this anxious thoughts. I mean, today, it's like I'm still fighting with the anxiety, and I'm still fighting with thoughts that maybe shouldn't be happening, or I'm just latching on to stuff for too long. I mean, again, I told you I was focused on my tattoo, whether or not I should have got my hand tattooed. And I wanted my hand tattooed for a long time. I love my artist. I love my tattoos. I love artwork. I love being creative, and I love being a little bit different, or a lot different than most people. It's who I am. And why would I be embarrassed of that or ashamed to have beautiful artwork on my hand? It's almost as if I'm more self-conscious because of my anxiety and because of stuff happening. That's kind of how I'm having some hard times during the ketamine treatment, because you're just doing all this self-reflecting, and then you're high and tripping basically in a ketamine realm, and everything's going to be intensified, and you're just kind of wondering how you got to this place. How did you get to this place to where you're tripping your ass off, and this is supposedly healing you, and it just feels so extreme and maybe not healthy? So I've done the research, I've done my homework. I'm not going in this with anything other than a healing mindset, and you really have to trust the flow. Like my friend says in Costa Rica, or he said to me when I was having a really hard time with depression, again, years ago, and he's kind of a shamanic figure. He's done a lot of psychedelics, and he's traveled with shamans all over the world. He's a pretty enlightened dude, and he's really good vibes. And he said to me when I was leaving Costa Rica one time, he said, trust the flow of the universe. And it seems so simple, but really that's all we can do, whether you want to believe in God or whatever your faith is, but trust the flow and trust that everything will be all right. For example, this ketamine facility where I'm at now, they're really nice. The doctor's really nice. Even though I'm not vibing with everything there, they've been kind, they've been professional, but I signed up for a grant to help people. And when I was walking out of my therapist the other day, and again, integrating these experiences with your therapist, with a good support system is crucial and really important. So structuring, a therapist appointment later that day after your treatment, or maybe the next day after, journaling, whatever it may be to help you get through this and to talk through some of these experiences. Because again, when I'm in this space, for some reason, sometimes I even have, like alien kind of like thing, like just something's in control of everyone and everything, and we're not in control at all, and why does all this darkness happen? It just seems heavy, and it just seems alien-like, or whatever it may be, to where I just can't process it and make sense of it. But you really have to stay positive, keep happy thoughts. I'm going to be very mindful of having a beautiful playlist, some kind of happy classical relaxation radio. I'm going to get a playlist organized so I have all beautiful, happy music, and I'm just going to get through the treatments. I'm going to try, as I said, to get through with maybe a curiosity if something heavy comes, and just observe it like a fresh set of eyes, like a little kid may. But if I'm rambling, I'm sorry. It's hard to really talk about all of this openly, but openness is a big part of healing and a big part of letting go of the heaviness that could be causing your depression, your PTSD, your anxiety. And just keep a little love and light in your hearts for me, and send me some good vibes, and I'm sending you guys some good vibes too. And anyone who's interested in trying ketamine, it's not going to be for everyone. It's definitely more extreme. It's not easy. It's definitely intense, or it can be intense, and it's just not going to be something that everyone's going to embark on. But it is something that is proven to work. It's supposed to heal synapses in your brain. It's supposed to basically reset your brain and give you a fresh, clean slate in a way. Obviously, there's more to it than that. I'm not a doctor, but you can look into the actual medical side of how ketamine heals and learn a little bit more. Maybe I can put a few links in the comment section below or in the description below. I'll put a few links in the description area so you can see some of the videos that I thought were helpful in explaining ketamine treatment and giving at least an indication of what it's about. But it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be for everyone. I've listened to some videos where they're saying it was beautiful, it was blissful, it was so awesome, but you know what? It's not going to be that way. I felt like I was going to essentially die on Thursday. I mean, I was clinging to my chair, crying essentially for my neighbor. I mean, it was like one of those moments where you feel like you just want your mom and you're scared and you don't know what to do and you felt very alone in life, and that's not a fun, pleasant thing for anyone. So, gonna journey on, and that's it. I'll keep you posted on the next week, but I am staying hopeful, and I automatically feel like there's some of the real deep heaviness getting nipped away. I don't know if that's true or not. Even though I know I'm anxious, I don't feel those thoughts coming on like, I want to kill myself, I don't want to be here. I'm questioning what my purpose is, but I'm just hopeful that this is going to help and heal in a big way. But you do have to put in the work. It's not just a ketamine drip and you heal and that's it. Not that that would be easy anyway, because as I said, it's very intense and it can be very challenging. So that's it, guys. Peace, aloha, love and light, and really just positive thoughts to anyone suffering with any kind of depression, anxiety, mental illness. You're not alone. You got this. And just be easy on yourself and stay hopeful and stay positive, because there is a light at the end of the tunnel. There's rainbows. You know, we got some dark skies somewhere, but at the same time, it's going to be nice and sun's going to come out again and things will be all right. So peace, guys, and love you. Bye.